Hey guys, this is just my fuse machine that I've been working on for like a year. Um, it's a pretty standard setup. It's just what you'd see on the internet. As you can see here, we've got a powder die, which is just a 2.5 mm hole. Here we've got like a 4 mm hole. There we've got pulleys. Rubber bands. Rubber bands are the best, guys. Keep it small, keep it light. We've got a worm drive from like a windscreen wiper mechanism. Just a wooden spool. I suppose you could use any kind of spool. We've got the fuse coming down here that seems to be working quite well now, actually. I've got 2 tracer threads. It helps keep the powder flow consistent. Like, I'd recommend 4. And I'm probably going to do that, but I haven't really had any problems with the powder flow yet. So, you know, it's not too bad. In there I've got a mixture of like 40% thermite and 60% black powder, slow black powder that I made. It's a good idea to use really slow black powder that hasn't been ball milled much, because it flows a lot better. You know, it's really fine meal powder just clumps like a it just clumps really badly. And so you'll have problems with powder flow, and for me having slower fuse is probably better. You can see here on the ground, I'm not sure if you can kind of see that, but hey, there we go, on the ground got some red fuse, which I've mixed in some red iron oxide into the nitrocellulose coating, and that tells me that it's got a bit of thermite in it, gives it a bit of a bang, more of a bang. And I've mixed, this is the nitrocellulose applicator that I use. See, what I do is I invert it, and I put the fuse along the driveway, and I just pull this along, inverted, and the fuse, as you can see there, which I've cut, will just flow through it and be coated, you know, horizontally, and it works quite well, actually. Just make sure the holes you've got on there are pretty tight with the fuse. I've just used ping pong balls for this, pretty standard. Works quite well, gives a bit of flexibility, keeps the powder in the fuse, you know. And I've made quite a bit of fuse there, which I will get around to using, but I'll just show you it being used. I just use a drill here, and I've got my drive shaft. I've got some small-ish bearings there. Probably can't see them. No, you can see that one, kind of. And I just use polythene threads. Smells like a bitch, but what to do? And I've got the lower spool rotating at twice the speed of the top one. As you can see here. Quite cool. And I can run it pretty fast, which is quite good, because I can crank out quite a bit of fuse on this. The only issues I have is just that it doesn't quite burn underwater as well as standard visco does, and the thread coating I have tends to be a bit inconsistent there, just a tiny bit. It's still not fully reliable. Like, I haven't used the latest batches that I've made that have been working quite well, but I had some earlier batches that didn't work so well, and it was quite frustrating. But this batch seems to be quite consistent. It doesn't quite burn when you put it underwater though, like the better visco fuse. I think it's just because the actual fuse, when it's been wound, isn't incredibly tight, and the black powder isn't compressed as much. That's probably got something to do with it, because it needs to have a decent amount of propulsion, I'd expect, to be able to keep the water out of the powder in the actual mix. But yeah, that's my fuse machine, and just log any comments below, I suppose. Thanks for watching, and if you try this, it's a really good idea. It takes a bit of effort though, but if you get it right, you'll have, you know, a relatively cheap supply of fuse that isn't restricted like everything in America.